limitations of the English language and of a patriarchal culture.
That's a great answer. So how did you stumble across the tribe, Musi tribe, in the first place?
Actually, I literally stumbled upon them. I had taken early retirement. I was really tired of corporate.
China's hidden mountains. Come and join us right here, right now.
I'm going. So I went to China. And among all my travels in China, including looking for grandfather's village, I did stumble across Lady Lake. Just because there was a mountain goddess festival going on. We knew of the mountain goddess festival. To go, right? So I did. And the first time, you know, in any place as a tourist, right? I mean, it's just cursory and all that. But I did realize that all these people were trooped out to the mountain top to pray at a shrine. And this shrine was to Gemu, the mountain goddess, you know, and they have to do like 3 kowtows and stuff. And then I was hanging out with tourists, just walking about, and I thought, I can't do this, you know, I must talk to some locals, right? I mean, you know. And so I looked around and I saw a big group, and I was hungry anyway, and I needed lunch. So I went in, said hello, went into the tent, and they gave me lunch, and then I made friends. And that's how I stumbled across them. And these friends were 2 little people, a 14-year-old girl and her 11-year-old brother, who then called me godmother immediately, Kama. And they said, come back and visit us. And I did. And then I just became a frequent returnee, you know.
Interesting. I believe that life often changes direction just on one question that gets asked or that you have. So what was the one question that's effectively changed the direction of your life that you thought of perhaps after having that encounter, that early encounter with your godchildren?
What question? Well, I think when they said, will you come back and visit us, I suppose. Because to them, you know, the New Year is very important. And I had first gone in the summer, 2008. And so I waited to 2009, Chinese New Year, and I made sure I returned. And you know, when you have godchildren, and I take my responsibilities very seriously, right? So I thought I had to like be a good role model or something. And I went back again and again, you know, and I've seen them grow up, I mean, over the years. But that question was, will you come back and see us again? So I returned not as a tourist anymore, you know, but really as a godmother with duties to perform.
I should own up at this point that the reason I stayed in Singapore was because my future wife, she wasn't my wife then, she asked me, are you an optimist? And that struck me as being such a good question that I'm still taking time to answer it, but I'm still here. That's why I asked you that question. Okay, you're Singaporean, and you spent many years in Yunnan. So what's the food like in Yunnan? Tell us a bit about the diet and the cuisine of
yeah, and I thought in the Singapore audience we should talk about food. And we are all serious foodies, right? I have an entire chapter in the book dedicated to food, right? But it is an adventure because, you know, the Mosuas were secluded in the high mountains of Yunnan at the tail end of the Himalayan range for thousands of years, I think. And they never moved on. They were people who were not literate because their language is only oral. And they had subsistence farming, which means each family has a small plot and they just farmed whatever was needed at a basic level. So food was very basic. I mean, we're talking about a farming culture that is like a few hundred years old, right? So they grow first of all, corn, because the animals have to eat corn. They grow rice for self-consumption. And in every backyard, there is a walnut tree. And everybody will give you a bag of walnuts when you visit in the later part of the year, because my walnuts are the best, you know. There's also a peach tree. And you know hua jiao, the Sichuan pepper, the numbing thing? Some people have a little tree in their yard. What else do they have? Okay, they have to have like their own chickens running about, you know, so there's always a brood of chicken, is it called? Some have ducks or geese, and a few pigs, you know, just in front of the house, right? Because pork is their main meat supply. Sometimes they have a horse to be the workhorse, and sometimes if they are a bit richer, they might have a water buffalo to plow the field. There's a chair there in the middle, or here. Come on. So they live on rice. They might kill a chicken if there's a guest. Because my first visit to their home, right? They said, "What would you like for lunch? Chicken or a duck?" And I said, "Chicken." And then they sent my godson outside to chase one chicken down, you know what I mean? And pork. Preserved pork through the winter. So they cut a little bit, salted and then they just boil it. But the fun part of their cuisine, they have a hunting-gathering food culture as well from the old days. So they will go hunting for mushrooms in the summer. When the rains come, mushrooms, 20 types or something, all wild, and you would go hunting for mushrooms. So I have sauteed mushrooms very often in the summer. They might hunt for honey, you know, they'll go with a torch on a cloth, on a piece of cloth, on a pole, and then smoke out the bees, and then we'll get wild honey, you know. Sometimes, and they have to do this in secret, they might trap a wild duck on the lake. And I've had wild duck soup, you know. But the best thing for me is every morning, right, for breakfast, I get to choose from my larder out of 20 chicken eggs or 10 duck eggs or 2 goose eggs, you know, for breakfast. I mean, it's wonderful actually. And on the more adventurous side, the best wild food I've had is, a friend was like eating something from a piece of paper, you know, like that. And it was white and about this long, right? I said, "Oh, what are you eating?" She said, "I'm not sharing." I said, "Come on, tell me." And it was bee larvae. Okay, bee larvae. Still wriggling a bit. And I said, "Okay, let me try one." And you know, it's better than a bee. It's better than hamai, you know. It's like hamai but stronger. And after one, I said, "I want another and another," you know. So, yeah, food is basic, very simple, no big hoo-ha. You know, they don't know how to cook like the Cantonese or something, but it's really fresh, it's all organic, and it's homegrown, you know.
Sounds very healthy. We don't have a video screen to show the photographs from Wei Hong's book. It wouldn't be very effective if I hold up a page of photographs, but I'm going to try to anyway. Just when you buy your own copy, you'll be able to see what I mean, but there's some stunning photographs of your house that you had built, or
have built for me.
Yes,
yeah.
It had been built for you. Tell us about the house. I don't know if you can see, but that's the view from your veranda, is that right?
Yes, my terrace.
It's stunning. So tell us the story about how that house, your house, got
You
to
know,
be built.
the story of me having a house built for me is also accidental and quite fun, you know. On my second return visit during the New Year, my godchildren's uncle, who had this big piece of land, you know, where he has a little hut or something, I mean a little house. And he looks up to me, and I later found out that he would ask every tourist that question, but nobody was as silly as me to respond to him, because he says, "Do you want to build a house on my land?" Well, I was the only one. I think he must have asked dozens of people. I said, "What? A house? How much would it be?" You know, very Singapore question, right? And he says, "Not expensive. 50,000 renminbi, which is $10,000. I said, 50,000? He says, "Yeah." And I thought, like, I can't even buy a 10-euro car for $10,000, right? So I said, let me think about it. And then I thought, $10,000, right? I'm going to say yes, you know. And I said yes, over the phone when I came back. And then I told him, I wanted like a local house, but I need like a real bathroom with, and I want to tell you my bathroom story, because every Mosul home that I visited, every Mosul home of my friends, does not have a toilet. They do it in the backyard, next to the rice field, by the corn, you know, whatever. You have to choose your spot each time you decide to go outside. So I told him, you must have 2 bathrooms, because I have a guest room and my room. He said, all right. And then I said, everything else I wanted, like a Mosul house, you know. And then I gave him some money, a portion of the $10,000, right? And I couldn't go back for months, you know, so I don't know what's happening. Now and then I'll call him. I said, are you building anything? And he says, yeah, sort of, but he doesn't tell me very much. So after, well, I think 4 or 5 months, I decided I better go and check on this house, right? By this time, it's more than 50,000 RMB, you know. In the end, actually, it was a multiple of that 50,000, but never mind. And then I saw this wonderful structure, which is in the book, that had already been erected. That was so beautiful, you know, and I loved it. And you know, I didn't have to do anything. And then I left. And when I finally got back 9 months later, I had this beautiful, I would say it's a big cottage, which overlooks a baby lake called the Moon Lake. And on this side, there is the mountain goddess, you know, looking down on me as I drink my Yunnan coffee on the terrace every morning. I mean, you know, really, it's beautiful. And because I had the house, I would return again and again. Each time, you know, my relatives would know I'm never in Singapore, right? I would go like 2 months, then I'll come back, then I'll go again, you know. So I spent many months added to like 3/4 of each year for a whole period of 6 years. And I want to get into, may I? You see, the book actually has 3 main themes sort of interlocking each other. One is this journey of mine, you know, having built a house, living there, and not even having thought about writing a book, but living there, and all the funny stories, you know, all the funny encounters I've had. And, you know, the Mosul tribe has a very great sense of fun and humor, right? They're very infectious, and maybe look at a lot of things with amusement rather than discomfort. You know, I mean, living there is not easy. It's rough, actually. But I